For this module, we'll be taking a look at The Color Purple, both the original novel, written by Alice Walker in 1982, and the film, directed by Steven Spielberg in 1985. The novel was primarily met with critical acclaim upon its release, even leading Alice Walker to win the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, the first black woman to do so. The novel is written as an epistolary, primarily framed around the main character's letters to God. Readers enter directly into the mind of the main character Celie as she grows up and struggles with an abusive patriarchal world, all while exploring her racial, sexual, moral, and familial identities. It is a harrowing story of triumph and trauma. Despite the general acclaim for Walker's novel, it was still met with plenty of controversies. It was even on the American Library Association's list of the 100 most frequently challenged books of 2000 to 2009. Much of the controversy around the novel revolves around its depictions of sexual violence and LGBTQ+ themes. Even still, the novel was groundbreaking and continues to be considered a classic of modern literature. So much so that just a few years after its publication, the film rights were purchased by none other than big-time Hollywood director Steven Spielberg. Though it wasn't his initial intention, Spielberg would go on to direct the film, which, like Walker's novel, was met with much critical praise as well as controversy. It would go on to be nominated for 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and, despite it being their first film roles, nominations for Best Actress for Whoopi Goldberg and Best Supporting Actress for Oprah Winfrey. Even with 11 nominations, the film would go on to win none. The controversy surrounding the film differed in important ways from the novel's controversy. For one thing, Spielberg's decision to both buy the rights and then direct the film was met with some considerable backlash. To what extent was it justified for a powerful white male director to take over the telling of a black woman's story? Walker herself was even criticized for her willingness to endorse this decision, with some critics claiming that she had sold out to the white patriarchy, thus undermining the revolutionary message embedded in the novel. Moreover, the film was criticized for its depictions of black men. Though the novel proved to resonate with large audiences, especially with black women for its depictions of female relationships as a form of sanctuary, some circles of black male academics spoke out against the representations of black families, especially black men. People were upset at both the film and the novel for allegedly perpetuating stereotypes about black masculinity in the form of domestic abuse. This controversy has evolved over the decades, though it remains an indelible part of the legacy for both the film and the novel. It is important to consider how much this criticism might have been fueled by a major lack of black representation in Hollywood films. On top of that, it's important to consider the sexism and misogyny that likely played a role in the general backlash against a black woman writing such a successful novel that included provocative depictions of men and masculinity. Finally, as you watch the film, take notice of the choices that were made that differ from the novel. One notable area of controversy comes from the film's supposed depoliticization, meaning that some of the novel's more radical and subversive elements were toned down in order to be more palatable to general audiences. Celie's explicitly romantic relationship with Shug, for instance, is largely whitewashed out of the film. Consider why this might have occurred and what this might mean, especially considering the time and context in which this film was produced. In the end, The Color Purple remains a cultural touchstone, one marked with a complicated legacy. It continues to garner academic and cultural interest, even spawning a Broadway musical that ran from 2005 to 2017. Though the controversy might differ between novel and film, there remains a lot to explore by looking at the relationship between the two. As you dive into this next module, remain sensitive to how the novel and the film portray black history, gender, sexuality, violence, and love, and take note of differences and similarities in what these might mean or represent.
Sister, 'cause honey, the sub is feeling